Hello and welcome to the Ending Body Burnout Show. We are your hosts, Chris and Philly, co-founders of a multi-award-winning functional medicine practice, serving busy people with energy, mood, and gut issues.
While busyness, addictive doing, people-pleasing, and perfectionism might be the norm, it's not normal, and it's a major contributor to health issues.
Our goal with this show is to give you a holistic root cause approach to healing your body so that you don't have to continue doctor or diet hopping or popping a gazillion supplements hoping something might stick.
So get ready to heal your body, get your spark back, deeply connect with yourself, and step into the life of your dreams.
Let's dive in. Welcome to the Ending Body Burnout Show with your hosts, Chris and Philly. We are excited to bring this episode to you. This is a really close to home episode. It's about not stuffing up your kids and helping them to avoid burnout. This is a pretty common question.
Yeah, far out. I would say almost every parent that we've worked with at some point has asked this question. How do I not stuff up my kids so that they don't or end up in body burnout like I am? The reason why this question comes up is because in our process, our ending body burnout method, in order to get to the root cause of body burnout, we go deep. Like, we're not just fluffing around with the surface level stuff. Oh, you've got leaky gut or adrenal fatigue, or oh, just stop drinking the alcohol and the sugar. We're looking right down into the layers of you. And essentially that's like looking right down into your unconscious core beliefs and programming that is currently stuck inside your system. Now, if it's healthy and wonderful, then your body will be healthy and your life will be healthy and wonderful. If there's dysfunction showing up in your health or your life, it is because there are deeper unconscious core beliefs causing that. So this is why pretty much every client who is a parent asks this question, because a lot of this stuff will start in childhood. Actually, not a lot of it. All of it will start some point in childhood. Even before that person is developing health issues, it sets them up for body burnout later down the track. So then, first of all, the spoiler alert to this title of the podcast is you can't not stuff your kids up.
I love it.
And then a client will then say, well, far out, that sucks. How can I at least help them to be a bit more functional? And this is what we're going to talk about today.
All right, so stay tuned, guys. This one's going to be a really good one. If you've got kids or if you're a kid, just listen in, send this to someone that you know and love, and we hope you enjoy this episode.
Okay, so first up, you cannot protect your kids fully from causing them to be a bit stuffed up. And the reason for that is because it's not your responsibility. It's actually outside of your control what your children choose to believe about themselves. So you can certainly do things and develop yourself to be a better role model and a better parent and to help them create healthy beliefs about themselves. This is all the stuff we'll dive into today's episode. But it's not your responsibility. It's not in your power to actually jump into their heads and their minds and create exactly what you want them to believe about themselves. Because the thing is, bad stuff will happen. Like every single child on this planet has had something embarrassing or humiliating happen to him or her. And these emotions, actually embarrassment and humiliation, are the lowest energetic emotion. You talking to that, David Hawkins?
Yeah, show shame, guilt, apathy, these real heavy energetic emotional states. They're contracting, they're dense, they weigh you down, they're very close to death, ego death. Yeah. And
so a child doesn't have to experience big T trauma in order to create these beliefs. This is why we're talking about embarrassment and humiliation specifically, because every child has felt embarrassed at some point. So no child will come out of childhood unscathed. So that's both for you, the listener, but also if you have children, at some point your child's going to decide to believe something unkind about themselves. And that's a given. So it's not your purpose to be the perfect parent. I actually want to read something from one of our past coaches' mentors.
Where's this from? This book's
Jamin Fraser. He's written a book called Leverage, How to Change the People You Love for All the Right Reasons and Get the Relationships You Deserve.
Might put a link to the book in show notes.
Yeah. So he talks about this parent archetype. A common issue for parents is that they find it difficult to let go because they derive so much identity and meaning from their role as a parent. Raising their children becomes part of their life purpose. No matter how wonderful it is to have kids, it is not your life's purpose to be a parent. It means you will inadvertently, if you choose to make this your purpose, it means you will inadvertently be using your children to validate your existence, meet your psychological needs, and protect you from your deepest fears.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
And we wanted to just pre-frame the conversation to that around that today so that, you know, if there's any perfectionists listening or like, I'm not doing enough for my children, you can just settle down knowing that the kids are going to get stuffed up in some way or another. It's not about trying to be the perfect parent. Your kids are going to make their own choices. And if you make it your life's purpose to try and be that perfect parent, then like you're putting your own fears onto them, which never makes this nice, and it will cause more issues for the kids.
I love that quote. I would use my freedom to argue the syntax of it a little bit. I do see the beauty and purpose of being a parent. I love that we have the ability to make babies, and I think that is a very human need to repopulate the planet.
Wow.
Yeah, not from like a raunchy kind of thing. Like it's an essential part of
survival.
Humanity. Yeah, literally. And so I believe that my personal belief is that it's one of our greatest creative processes to become a parent. But I can see what James is saying is like tying our intent and our purpose solely to being a parent can really open us up to limiting, or can open somebody up to a limiting belief, and they can get stuck in victim thinking and rescuing and a bunch of other stuff as well, which we'll dig into some archetypes like that.
Yeah, I think the big thing around that is validate your existence. So if you're using your children to validate your existence, that you're a worthwhile human being, because your children are like perfect and they are always happy and well and healthy, then that's where things can go a bit cuckoo. Like from a parenting point of view, I saw that with myself when I was doing this deeper, what we call metaphysical healing, that I was judging my children, or I wanted them to be a certain way because I felt that if they weren't, others would judge me as a person because they were an offshoot of me, if that makes sense. And so I was trying to use my children to validate that I was an okay human being, when I'm like, I don't need my children to give me that. They could grow up hating me and I still know that I'm an awesome human being and a pretty awesome mum too. Okay, so that was a little bit segue. Now, we wanted to talk about some parent archetypes, because depending on the way that you might be showing up as a parent, there are different ways that this can kind of cause some stuff to happen within a child in terms of creating dysfunctional unconscious core beliefs. So probably the most like common one when we think about, that is a bad parent, would be the abusive parent. So whether it's a physical, sexual, gaslighting, emotional, abusive parent, a child at some point is highly likely going to create a belief that they're no good, that they don't matter, that they're not lovable enough. They're going to go to school and see all the other children being loved and cared for by other parents, and a child is always egocentric. So what just happened, and what does it mean about me? Probably a little bit more insidious might be an absent parent. Now, that might be a parent who literally the child doesn't know the parent at all. They might have left even before they were born. Or more subtle is the absent parent who is working all the time. Maybe they're all physically there, but not emotionally. I feel a little bit guilty as I'm saying this, because I have had my children say, Mom, I'm trying to tell you something. Why do you never listen? And it will usually be because I'm trying to do something on my laptop. Now, again, I want to be a great mom. I want to be there for my children, but my children also have the right to create a meaning around that. Some children will create some sort of a meaning that Mummy doesn't love me. She loves work more than me. Whatever it is, there's always going to be things that you do unintentionally, and your child's going to create some unkind belief about themselves around that. A doormat parent is someone who maybe like just gives to everyone and never to themselves. They might be the parent who buys all the things, or does all the things, or does all the cleaning and the cooking and the taxiing. Or a doormat parent might also be in an abusive relationship themselves, where there might be a parent who is abusive and the doormat parent kind of comes in after the abuse is done and swaddles the child and like, I love you, are you okay? However, that parent's very doormatty, which means that they're not standing up as the role of a parent to protect the child, and that can create some huge dysfunctional beliefs in a kid. And then the perfect parent. So this is the parent that always wants to do the right thing, always trying 110% to be the perfect parent, making the perfect birthday cakes, holding elaborate birthday parties, maybe like doing course upon course upon course and reading all the parenting books.
Is this like the bubble wrap parent as well? Like the helicopter parent that comes in there. It's like, I want to provide the perfect ecosystem and environment for my child to absolutely have nothing wrong, no bumps and scrapes and bruises. I want to make sure this is perfect. Everything, the conditions are right for them to thrive.
Yeah. And then, that helicopter parent is going to create some beliefs too. Oh, we've worked with lots of clients.
Hovering over them, like helicopters hovering over. I don't know if everyone's heard that. I don't know.
A common question, like I'll ask a new client in a initial consult is, what was your upbringing like? What was your childhood like? A lot of the times they say, normal, lovely, loving parents. But then when we dig into it, well, actually, before digging into how they were parented, I then flip over to, okay, cool. That's good. Do you resonate with any of these patterns? Perfectionism, people pleasing, overworking, overdoing, overwhelm, busy. And they're like, yes. And I'm like, that's interesting. When did you notice those patterns starting? Oh yeah, probably as a kid. So even that perfect parent, at some point that child creates some meaning around that. They're like, I have to be perfect too. Like I have to be the person who does the things, maybe the golden child, maybe the straight A+ child. And then that creates a lot of dysfunction because they're putting their validation and worth onto what they can do and how they behave. So probably the best type of parent is just like the average parent. Gives a go, gives it a crack, but it's like, but not awesome.
Well, I think about from a strength and conditioning perspective, we lift weights and we get stronger, not because the weights make us stronger. It's because the tension, the scarring, the tearing apart of the muscle, that trauma of the tissues, that overcoming the resistance, and then the recovery equals increase in strength, the ability for the fibers to contract more fibers contract at the same time. More fibers exist. The fibers are bigger. And I think if you apply that same principle to mental, emotional, to the first causes of things, to the metaphysical, we don't get that growth if there's no resistance. If a lot of, that saying is like, why do bad things happen to good people? Or why do hard things happen to the best people in the world or whatever? And it's resistance. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. But yeah, if we had not got that resistance, we wouldn't have had the ecosystem and environment to grow.
Yeah. So we're not saying like be this type of parent, but it's just like, well, these are the different common archetypes of a parent that could be causing different issues.
One day, even if you are adopting these patterns and programs in and of yourself and how you parent your child one day, their greatest mission will be to leave the nest, grow the hell up, be a big boy, big girl adult the heck out of themselves, put aside the childish thoughts and feelings about themselves that they had that you probably played a part in, and overcome these limiting beliefs and become a adult.
Yeah. And so that circles back to where we started. It's not your life's purpose to be like the perfect parent, to validate your existence based on your children, because at some point their hero's journey is that they leave you and they upgrade from child to adult, but in order to be able to do that, they must leave the parent at some point.
Leave the village, go on the journey. That's what they're going to do. That's what you did. That's what you're doing.
Mm. Yeah, and also too, if you're not a parent, or if you are, but you're kind of like, oh, I can see how I was brought up and where my parent sort of fits into these archetypes. If you have still got the validating badge on your mum or dad or both, then you're still a child. And so like your job, before you can even do anything for your own children, is to grow up.
Grow the beep.
Grow up, beautiful human, like go from child to adult.
Yeah.
That's like exciting. It's like we all want to be an adult. We all want to be a grown up. Maybe some people might want to be children.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. So you're doing everything. You're not broken, and you're choosing what you're choosing to, even if it's unconsciously, you're choosing what you're choosing for a really good reason. But if you can bring that deep to the surface, if you can bring the unconscious to the conscious, if you can expose what's underneath and the first cause of the things, you can find a more resourceful story, find a more resourceful way of being, find a state that more suits where you're at now. And you can rewire these programs that you've got.
Okay, so you might be wondering, how do children actually create these self-limiting beliefs? So this is important to understand so that you can actually start applying this for yourself and also for your own children. So before the age of 7, developmental psychology tells us that children are little sponges. So even before the age of 2, 50% of a child's self-talk is created, which is just insane. Before the age of 7, 80%. So essentially the beliefs that we have about ourselves, which create our self-talk, are locked in before the age of 7. So when something happens to a child, they're egocentric. They'll always ask 2 questions. What just happened and what does it mean about me? And if something negative or distressing happens, and it might not even look negative or distressing from an adult point of view, but for that little child, it is very negative and distressing. And, we mentioned humiliation, embarrassment. It might be fear. It might be bullying. It might be shame, guilt, whatever that charged emotion is that happened during that event. A child will almost always create an unkind belief about themselves, because we're also built for survival. So something bad happens. We have to think the worst case scenario about life, about ourselves in order to survive. And a child also at that age has a lack of capacity to make it like something distressing means something empowering. Their first thing will go, I must be a bad or broken or unlovable or unworthy or not enough human being. And they lack the tools to actually process that event and the emotion. So it gets basically stored and locked into the unconscious mind. And this then becomes the machine that drives everything. So this deepest root cause belief that a child has about themselves, as they grow up, they're going to collect more and more and more evidence for this belief. You would have, if you've listened to this podcast, you've likely heard mine. Like my initial deep, very deep root cause belief was around being weak and incapable. And then as I grew up, things happened and I just confirmed again and again in my mind that, yep, just another piece of evidence that I'm weak and incapable. I'm now weeing myself and I'm a teenager when I faint. Far out, I must be like so weak. This then leads to dysfunction. So the more that you're collecting evidence for this belief, the more dysfunction you get stuck in. And that's where people get literally stuck in body burnout. So it often starts as them showing up with behavioral or thought patterns that are very provey, defend. They're trying to mask or hide from this deeper belief they have about themselves. It will show up as busyness, overwhelm, perfectionism, people-pleasing, self-sabotage. And then in this state, the nervous system gets stuck in fight, flight, and then it starts literally burning out body systems. It switches off the gut. So someone's starting to get now gut issues. It's exhausting your energy stores. So you're chronically fatigued. Mentally, you think that a tiger is chasing you. And the body blows up. PMS, menopause symptoms, autoimmune conditions, body pain, chronic health issues. And these beliefs always trickle over to what you believe about your body and your ability to heal and be healthy too. So they're literally impacting everything. So if you can help your kids be aware of and unravel these beliefs early, or at least help them to not be so stuck, you're going to set them up for far more health and function and hopefully avoid body burnout. Remember, it's not within your complete control, but you can definitely provide them with a better process, better tools to be able to learn to become a healthy human being.
All right. So how do you help your kids? Well, first and foremost, you got to do the work yourself, right?
Yeah. And that's for several reasons. So kids will sniff right through you. If they're like, what are they?
Sniff right through you.
Sniff right through you. I can smell something sneaky happening here.
Okay.
I just made that saying up. I don't know if it's a
my
real
kids
thing.
Probably definitely can sniff me when I've come home from basketball.
Well, it's the classic thing. Like a lot of parents will
Dad's
say,
home.
A lot of parents,
I smell him.
A lot of parents will say, you can do anything, dream big. But then if a child's looking at their parent and they're like, you're not doing anything with your life, how can I trust what you're saying when you're not doing it? So this is the same applies to helping them to create healthy beliefs about themselves. If they're like, yeah, but mum's over there talking about how fat she is and how ugly she is, and dad's over there like stressing about, I don't know, the garden. It's very stereotypical, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe.
Then a child is less likely to actually follow in your footsteps. So you must do the work first. Another reason is you're constantly co-regulating with your child. So if you're really dysregulated, it's going to be a really big uphill battle if you're trying to help your child create healthy beliefs and patterns. We do work with kids sometimes. Nowadays, it's mostly after we've worked with one or both parents, especially when it comes to deeper, kind of like this metaphysical stuckness that kids and teens can get stuck in that then causes a lot of anxiety and depression issues. I will never take on a child if we're working on that type of symptom until the parent does the work for themselves, because the kid will just go back into the dirty pond and all the results will unravel. The third...
What, dirty pond? What do you mean by dirty pond?
Well, the metaphor is, let's take the fish out of the dirty pond. let's clean the fish up. So if that's like, okay, now you have like resourceful, healthy, wonderful beliefs about yourself. We've cleared trauma, past distressing events aren't a thing anymore.
And that's the kid.
That's the kid. If the kid goes back into the dirty pond, which could be the
home,
family environment, and everyone else is still like dysregulated and like repressing their own issues, the kid's going to pick up all of that energy again.
Kid's going to be a dirty fish again.
The kid's going to be a dirty fish again. And that same goes with an adult too. So like the work that we do, especially when it's clearing trauma and these deep beliefs, if we have a client and they have an abusive partner, like the results won't stick because they're going back to an environment where they're told that they're no good again and again and again, either through words or actions. And then number 3, like the third reason why you must do the work yourself is because then you have the language and the tools that you've actually embodied yourself. So you're actually going to be able to help your child. So the steps to take for yourself would be identify your own dysfunctional beliefs, then reprogram them, clear your own trauma, all the like baggage that is stuck in the system around those beliefs that's causing you to be dysregulated, and then continue to self-regulate as things pop up in the present and the future. So that's for yourself. And then when it comes to helping your child, be aware of your children, chat with them, make it safe for them to communicate with you, ask intelligent questions, help them to shift beliefs and big emotions, and don't tell them to stifle their emotions or their worries or fears. They're coming up to the surface for a reason. And if we constantly put a cap on that, it's going to show up in the body at some point. And the other one, just put aside some money right now to hire a coach like us to sort your kids' crap out when they're older and they're ready to do the work. But also make this a really normal thing so that there's no shame or guilt for asking help. It's like, hey, everyone has these issues, and it's also possible to totally reprogram your whole self. Do you want to add anything else to those steps?
Heal yourself first. I think that's seek first to understand then be understood. It's easier to see the speck in somebody else's own eye before you see the beam in your own. You know, that parable in the Bible. So I think, you're going to spot these dysfunctions in your kids and you're going to freak out because you run patterns of perfection and martyrdom and I've got to be the perfect parent. I'm attaching my sense of worth to me being a parent. I don't want to stuff my kids. I don't want them to become like me. That fear-based, shame-based way of believing, those dirty accusations you're making about yourself, accusatory thinking. Fix yourself. Take that dysfunctional way of being out of your story and you'll be a better parent. Have better connection to your kids. You'll be an inspiration. They'll see that. They'll be inspired. It's going to happen. They might be actually, you know what? I actually can probably, without this is just my experience for myself and also observing this in hundreds and thousands of people. You're probably going to tick a lot of people off, probably kids and your partner, when you do start to change and grow and transcend this way of being. When you get to a new level in and of yourself, you're going to have new problems. And I think that fear of that is a block to actually doing the change to start with. So just know the problems that you'll have tomorrow are not the problems that you got today. So fix the problems that you got today and then worry about the problems of tomorrow.
Okay. Well, we wanted to end off with a story. So this happened a few years ago, and this is to do with our youngest child. So we moved cities or towns, essentially, and which
50 kilometers.
50 kilometers. We didn't move very far, but it was far enough that we moved our kids to a different school.
In Sydney, that's probably like out of Sydney. Like, isn't it? Like in Tasmania, it's just like around the corner.
Yeah, it's like 20-minute drive up the country road.
Tasmania is huge, guys.
Anyway, our kids moved school, and Elsie, our youngest at the time, developed a tic. So she literally she had this, well, she actually still does have a fringe, but it was really long and she would constantly flick her head to try and get rid of her fringe. And like it got to the point where Chris would have to hold her face. If anyone's watching YouTube, you can see what I'm doing. And she would still be there ticking in his hands. So it was pretty intense, and definitely she was way more emotionally dysregulated. So I would say she had anxiety. She was very sad, very touchy, very sensitive, always crying, very clingy, and this weird as tic. Now she'd had a bit of a tic earlier before we moved, and it was a bit of she'd do this weird. So do you remember that one with her throat? She'd do this weird swallowing thing that was really loud. And I actually think that it was probably reflux.
Like a throat clear.
Yeah. But anyway, so there are already signs that things were happening and bubbling underneath the surface, and then it really exploded when we moved her to a different school. Anyway, but she found some friends and she had a nice little friendship group, but far out, like anytime they didn't play with her, or they played the wrong game, or they chose her to do chasey, and when she wanted to be the one getting chased or whatever it was, she would blow everything out of proportion. And she would, every day it's like, how was your day, Elsie? It was awful. That was the first thing that she would say as soon as she came home from school. So anyway, I'm like, all right, I'm doing this work on myself. Okay, I've got some tools. I can see what's happening here. I'm going to get to the bottom of this with her. So I sat down on her bed one night and just had a really good chat with her. And first of all, I just started asking her, like, what are you feeling? What's going on? What's happening at school? And she could name that she was feeling sad. And that nobody liked her at school. She kept using those words. No one likes me. No one likes me. Even though I could clearly see that she had some nice friends, that they weren't bullying her, but she'd created this meaning that nobody liked her, and it was controlling everything. So then the next question I asked her was, what does it mean about you? And I used the term. So I remember as a kid, my mum used to always say, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words can never hurt you. And it's like, hang on, that's untrue, because if you already believe the words that someone says to you, then it actually does really hurt, because they're validating what you believe about yourself. So I use that analogy with Elsie.
Not only will it hurt you, but if you don't fix those stories and limiting beliefs that you've got about yourself, it'll hurt other people that you know and love.
And she was able to get to a self-limiting belief that nobody loves me. And then I just helped her turn that into an I am identity-based statement, because then it's like, yeah, okay, I am saying this about myself. I am unlovable. By this time, she is like power sobbing in my arms, but in a really beautiful, safe, like finally someone sees me and understands me. And then I asked, when was the first time you believed this? And she said, when we got, straight away, she's like, when we got the dog Mindy, which I think maybe was like a year or two earlier. I don't know, maybe a bit longer.
Just a bit before or after COVID.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, wow, okay. And I'm like, I do remember that. You were very jealous of that puppy dog when we got the dog. And then I said, was there anything else, anything earlier? And then straight away she said, my 5th birthday. You did everything wrong. And I was like, what? Okay, I like tried to contain my surprise. But her 5th birthday, where she just started kindy and she was so excited to go to school, and then a few weeks later, COVID happened, lockdown. So all of a sudden, she's now no longer at school. We're doing homeschooling. I, at that point too, had my 3rd body burnout, so I was very dysregulated as well. And then she had her 5th birthday. I think the doors lockdown was starting to open up, but you could only have like 2 people come to your house or something. So anyway, I thought I did a great job with her 5th birthday, given the circumstances. Like I went over and beyond what I would usually do for my children's birthday, but apparently nothing was right. We didn't do the right activities. You didn't even do the right icing on my cake. You did it the wrong color. Oh, my birthday presents were terrible. You didn't get me what I asked for. And so that was like a huge light bulb moment for myself. that it's like, wow, on her 5th birthday, she created a belief that mummy doesn't love me, so therefore I am unlovable. And it had literally started building up in her system to the point that at this time, she now was having like these crazy visible tics and anxiety. Oh. So anyway, that was fun. But it was actually like a really beautiful experience because I had the tools and I was able to help her get to the root of what was going on. And then when she named that, and I just gave her some different alternatives, like what else could have been true? Like, oh wow, mummy didn't even know that she got all that wrong and that she hurt you. I was trying to do this, and this, and it wasn't to justify what I was doing so that she would feel different. I was just trying to help her loosen up the meanings that she made during that time. And then some other things that I did with her to help her start shifting these deeper beliefs and get into a more resourceful state was, well, at that night I said, look into the mirror and I want you to look into your eyes and I want you to say, I love you, Elsie. Now at that point she could not. Like she literally just hid under her big long fringe and she's like, no, I can't. I'm like, why can't you? Because it's not true. It's like, wow, that's like a real belief there. So I just let that slide. And then over the coming weeks, I just did some unconscious change processes that we do with our clients, that our clients do inside our program to help starting to shift to these beliefs and different events connected to them. So for example, we use an NLP process where you basically shrink the event down to something that is very neutral. And then you push it away or you blow it away or you pull it out of your body. And she loved that. Like anytime I pulled out a process, she was just like, yeah, this is great. And I mean, she had my full attention, which might have started creating some secondary gains around being unwell. But it worked over time. I just did some really consistent things with her. And then even in the moment too. So to really help just clear this deeper belief and help her to get into a more resourceful state. If she had a bad day at school, rather than, just glossing over that and like, oh, that's what Elsie always says. It's like, why was it bad? What happened? And it was usually something to do with a friend or a teacher. And so literally I would get her to close her eyes and to go back into that day. This is using imagination work and kind of like releasing anger, to go back into the past self, which is literally only a few hours ago, and to be like the rescuer, the protector for the younger Elsie, and to say certain things to the teacher that hurt her or caused her distress. And again, like as soon as she did that, it was cleared. She was able to let it go, and over time those onion layers just started unraveling, and pretty soon I would say like the tics disappeared pretty quickly. And now a few years later, I mean, she's still got some confidence things going on, but she's way more self-secure, way more regulated, way more happy. And she hasn't had any weird health issues show up. Like she used to get a lot of allergies around her lips and have like gut issues and stuff as well.
I also know that as we've worked on ourselves and we're able to better connect, we're more calm, we're centered, we're able to be present. Elsie and I have a beautiful ritual of bedtime, and where we can really connect. We've found some real commonalities, some things where we can enjoy each other's company. We can communicate better. And I think that step, I wouldn't personally have been able to have the energy, the space, the confidence, that part of me inside of me, that security inside of me. I wouldn't have felt safe. I wouldn't have been able to be regulated enough if I didn't do the work on myself. And the carryover of that is that my relationship with both of my daughters is really beautiful. It's really nice, and it clearly shows. And when these insecurities pop up with our girls, we're really quick to to identify them. We can laugh at them a little bit sometimes. We'll say this for another episode, but we had a recent one with the passport. And she hid behind her fringe when it came to one.
I guess we're going to be sharing it.
Yeah. Well. Oh, yeah.
Go,
okay. Well, we got passport photos taken.
We're going to Fiji. Woohoo!
You and Elsie.
Actually, we might be in Fiji by the time this airs.
Oh yeah. Hello from Fiji.
Hello from Fiji.
and Elsie hid behind her fringe, and I don't know if it's like this over in your country where you're listening to this, but in Australia you have to have a certain part of your face showing. You can't just hide behind your hair, like that character in Addams Family. Anyway, we had to take the photos again, and we put Elsie's hair up in a ponytail that is
right on the top of her forehead. So she's got like this little fountain thing going on.
The perfect 21st birthday. Bring that out.
She has a skull on her face. She's like, I'm not happy.
Skull? You mean scowl?
Scowl. I knew I said that wrong. Scowl.
And it was amazing, and it was such a coachable moment for her. And it was really nice.
Yeah,
anyway,
she wasn't happy with the photo, but she can laugh about it now.
And guess what just happened like in the last week?
What?
She's got a haircut.
Yeah, she
Fringe
has got
gone.
a haircut.
It's so like as she gets more confident in and of herself.
Okay, she just wore pigtails to school today.
And she wore pigtails. So
for a long time she hasn't wanted to wear her hair up because someone told her, I think it might have been me apparently, that she has a really big forehead.
Someone at school said she has a round face, which she attributed to a fat head, and therefore you're not enough because your face is fat.
But she went to school with pigtails today.
Yeah, this is all coming out really quick, and you might not be following this whole thing.
Yeah, sorry, we're like processing things.
Yeah. So, moral of the story is, as you work on yourself, and as you have some beautiful experiences in and of yourself, you can then emanate that, and you can exude that aura of yourself can spread out to your kids, and then they can work on themselves. But it starts with you. And
without circling right back to the start, without the attachment that your kids have to turn out a certain way in order for you to feel good about yourself. Like you're doing the work as a ripple effect on yourself and your family. But it doesn't matter if they decide to create a weird belief because you didn't give your daughter $5. There might have been some very good reasons why you did that. And you can have the tools to help shift that in the moment until the next thing pops up.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This is a fun one. It was a bit different, but I just felt it would be such a good one to share on the podcast because every client, oh my gosh, asks these questions. So do the work on yourself. If you've been inspired by this and you're not in our program yet, doors to our Ending Body Burnout Method do open again in September. So you can jump on the wait list. I'll put the link there. If you don't want to wait that long, we do have some earlier spots open to start off with the first step, which is the Connect the Dots initial consult. So you can book into those. And also I'm going to put in the show note links a scorecard or quiz that we don't share very often, but we did create a scorecard all about hidden trauma and chronic health issues and uncovering the connection between those, because sometimes, again, like I was someone who had a lovely upbringing. I didn't have abusive parents, yet I still created all of the stuff that led to my body burnout. And so that quiz is a really great resource to see if there's something else going beneath the surface at a metaphysical level for you.
Boom. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. We hope you have a great day. And you know what? Actually, have the best day ever. Talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for listening. We so appreciate you. If you'd like to give us extra smiles, drop us a review and spread the love by sharing this episode.
You can also rate your own state of burnout and the root cause contributors by taking our Ending Body Burnout Assessment on our website. And if you're interested in learning about our group or one-on-one Ending Body Burnout programs, shoot us a DM via Instagram or Facebook.
Have the best day ever.